Okay guys, welcome back to the channel. Dressed up a little bit for you. Been checking out. This has been a great weekend in Houston. Probably the best weekend I've had in Houston since Pete and Doug came here. Great time. Went to Old Town Spring. You may have seen some of my YouTube shorts. I've got new shoes coming. I picked up an LP. No, I don't have a vinyl rig yet, but this LP I just couldn't pass up. I don't see it that much. And it has the very first song by the Gorillaz. I'll let y'all figure out which one that is. Really cool album cover. I can just put it up like I've done with other albums. Those of you who've been out here see that I use these are for wall decorations. I think it's better than art sometimes to put on the walls. But in any case, it also reminded me that this is Christmas time. I'm buying myself kind of little presents like that. But it's time of giving as well. And one thing that I hate seeing is kids that don't have anything for Christmas. I know my wife grew up one of 11 kids when she was young. They didn't have any money. They lived like 12, 13 people in a 1,500 square foot house. It's more about the holiday itself. Gifts sometimes get overrated, but I still want kids to have something. And so Toys for Tots is always an organization that I try to support and go to some fundraisers. And there's going to be one on December 22nd that I'm going to be attending. So what I'm going to do is all the proceeds I get from YouTube for December, especially all the members group, where I get you guys support the channel and join my WhatsApp and get access to the videos I don't put public. That's $5 a month. If you want to join this month, 100% of that proceeds is going to go to Toys for Tots. If you want to give it outside of that, I can give you links. Email me to Toys for Tots if you want to pay directly to them and get the tax deduction for $5. But here's a chance for you to donate to Toys for Tots. And also what I wanted to get more and more people, because I'm so impressed with you guys, subscribers, how many high IQ audiophiles there are. And we've got such a good group in the WhatsApp now, lots of experts, great people with systems, always helping each other and getting rid of the junk that you have to deal with online and other forums and stuff like that. And especially Facebook groups. Oh gosh, don't get me started on that. But here's a chance for you to be a part of that fundraising this month. You can quit after 1 month if it's not for you, but I think you'll also enjoy that. So just wanted to give you that heads up and happy holidays. But the purpose of this video is really not to showcase me. I'm featuring Dave, who's been on my channel before, Dave Husto. We've had Zooms with his house twice, where he's got an amazing room, dedicated room, built out perfectly to specs and for acoustics. And then he's got great gear as well. And everybody that's gone out there has talked about the spatial cues, the imaging is among the best they've ever heard when they go to somebody's house, showing that the importance of both the gear and the room are critical for that. But then it was also a good proof of concept because he also bought the Bacch. And it was a proof of concept to show, even if you've got a great system, 2-channel system, with good spatial cues, can it get even better? And surely, as much as you can do in the room, you can't get rid of crosstalk. So he did a video of his experience with the Bacch and how much of a fan he is of that. But also, he decide to do another video recently that kind of fits the macro point of my channel. I like to share stuff with you, obviously the eye candy and the ear candy and all the stuff in between. But one of the macro points is that I like to help you guys prioritize better the learning curve I did. You get on these forums and Facebook groups, you'll think that you'll need a $5,000 Ethernet switch. You'll need a $100,000 DAC, a $30,000 server. It's ridiculous. And when people, if they can even pass a blind test, which is with some of these DACs and servers, I guarantee they can't. But let's say they could, or whatever magnitude that they are able to reliably hear, it just never supports that ridiculous price tag. And that's what one of the macro points of Dave's review was. He's like, the Bacch makes so much more difference than a DAC or server and tons of other things. But in this video, he's going to talk about some things in more detail, like cabling. There's a lot of testing of optical cables versus other options, and the preconceived notions and the brainwashing on the forums that people give towards optical cables and how to do it right, and what differences did he hear when he compared. And also, because he's retired and he's got a very great system, he can spend a lot of time doing a lot of these comparisons, even more sometimes than I can. So I think this is going to be a very important video for hearing that. Also, he has comments about server comparisons. He's got DAC comparisons. So this is a very comprehensive video for a lot of topics that I think you'll find interesting. And he's got a different perspective than me, and that's what I like to, at least flavor of delivery. So I like to showcase some of my friends and people that I think you can trust. It's all about getting as many opinions as possible to help you guys. So hopefully you will enjoy this, and see you back here soon. I got a lot more coming, especially with my row 1 seating. Finally here, something, some good news for once as well. So stay tuned, sign up, subscribe, and I'll see you back here soon.
I recently made a video on my first impressions using the Bacch for Mac by Theoretica Applied Physics. In it, I'd mentioned that Toslink optical was one of the ways the Babyface Pro by RME can connect to your system. The Babyface Pro is a computer interface used to get audio signals, both analog and digital, into the Macmini for processing. Along with that, I'd also mentioned that Toslink has traditionally not been thought of as an ideal way to transfer a digital signal. And I wanted to talk about that a little bit. I'm sure that most of you have read or heard some of the same things about Toslink as I have, such as, well, Toslink uses a thick plastic inner core instead of thin glass. That plastic is much more opaque than glass, and thicker cores are technically inferior. It's also been mentioned in different places that Toslink can have issues passing high-res audio. This is pretty much how I've been preconditioned towards Toslink, mostly by comments easily found online. Yet I had never tried it, since I'd never had a potential use for it until now. So I decided to do my own research and see for myself. In my research, looking around, what I found was that you can get Toslink actually as a glass inner core. Not only that, but a multi-strand glass inner core, meaning that each inner core is much smaller. And now, traditionally, the best, fiber optic cables have been considered AT&T, the ST optical, which very small glass inner core. So weeks before my Bacch for Mac came in, I decided to do a little shopping, and I picked up a nice glass multi-strand fiber optic cable. And I didn't want to spend a whole lot because I'm just testing. I mean, I'm not expecting a whole lot out of this. And so I went around, and I think I spent $60 for a cable. In fact, I bought 2. And here is a cable. It's a nice cable. I mean, it looks well made to me, what do I know, right? But anyway, you can see it's got protective covers, that come with it. And so this is what I'm going to start with. And let's wear it. How about that? Yeah, okay. I wanted to use it on my Prime Digital source, which is my streamer, my SOTM SMS 200 Ultra. But the thing is, it does not have an optical output. And so I had to go and find a converter for USB over to optical. And again, I didn't want to spend a whole lot of money because, we're just testing here. And so, because you could, the sky's the limit on those things, like it is anything else in the audiophile world. So I just went ahead, I spent another $60 on a converter. And then, so I started, I began testing. I just started listening back and forth to my DAC, my MADAC, which has a very nice USB input. I compared that to the optical input coming out of the streamer, and the new optical out of the streamer, and back and forth. And I tell you, after several weeks, what's my conclusion? Um, Even with having that extra piece, that converter in line, I could not really tell or discern any real solid, tangible, audible difference that added up to, I mean, much of anything really substantial at all. But more importantly, I didn't notice anything negative. No negative side effects of going Toslink over going USB. And well, I'm a fairly critical listener, and so my assessment was and is that it passes my audiophile test, and that I kind of borrowed this from the physician's Hippocratic oath of first cause no harm, and it flies through that. So I'm no longer concerned about using Toslink if I have to, and as it turns out, I do. One of the uses for the optical in is going to be to connect my transport. This is a Proceed, which was made by Mark Levinson back in the day, and it's been a friend for many years. And so I needed to use optical to connect this into, the Babyface Pro. The thing is, like my server, it does not have an optical output on its own, so it had to go through a conversion process. Except this time it was coax over to optical. And in fact, let me show you the units. There we go. The little one up in front is a converter for coax over to optical. The one in the back, you can barely see, is the one that's going USB over to optical. And that was for my streamer, which is the SOTM SMS 200 Ultra, and then the power supply down below. Now, like the streamer, I tested the transport going straight back to the DAC. I went connected it straight normal coax in, and then I connected going to optical in through the converter. And in listening back and forth, my conclusions were the same as it was for using my streamer back and forth to the DAC, optical, and then USB, and no real discernible differences. Certainly nothing negative. I had the same pristine sound, the same characteristics that I listened for. Being a critical listener, I notice things that are different, and so I'm happy with using optical out. And then when the Bacch for Mac came in, of course it's a two-piece system. You have the Babyface Pro, which is the audio interface for the Macmini. This is an RME unit, and it's been highly tested, by Edgar, and rigorous testing. And says it is as transparent as they come, and he's very pleased with this. All the RME stuff, he knows the manufacturer, and he swears by them. So this is a unit here which has the optical input to feed over to the Bacch for Macmini. And when I had my Macmini set up for the Bacch, Edgar added a Rune bridge, which creates an endpoint here on this Macmini for Rune. So it'll come up and get recognized as an endpoint for Rune. So the Macmini basically becomes a streamer. And and I thought, okay, well that's good. Something I certainly want to try. But preconceptions being what they are, over years of being told, well, you certainly, a Macmini is not a high-end product. That's not going to be a good streamer. I mean, it's going to have all kinds of noise issues, and it's just, I mean, if a Mac Mini was a good streamer, why would they make so many high-end streamers at exorbitant prices if they weren't needed? And again, the same thing I heard about Toslink. Toslink is bad. It doesn't work, and or work as well as, say, USB and coax. And well, I found that not to be true. And so I'm willing to, give the Mac Mini here as a streamer a shot, because so far my preconceptions, they're being torn apart one by one. And so I set it up. I used the optical in for my streamer, going into the Babyface Pro. And there's something you need to know. On the controls, there's another page that you need to have access to, and it's right here on your taskbar. You can see my mouse is pointing to it. This will all be pre-configured for you. This is Fireface USB settings. And here you have an option for the clock. If you're going to use the Babyface Pro optical in, you have to have the clock set to optical in. The other option for that is right here, and it says internal. Now, internal will be the setting to use if you're using that Mac Mini as the streamer. If you're using an external digital source, you have to go optical in. Now, you're going to notice a big difference. Often not. But what will happen is you're going to hear digital artifacts from time to time on certain music if the clock is set wrong, which is what I experienced. And I didn't understand what was going on until Edgar pointed me to that and explained it. So on my Roon screen, since I have those endpoints, here is the Bacch for Mac. I bring up, and here it's up on top. My other streamer, my SOTM, is right here. So I can go back and forth, and I can listen, being sure the clocks are set in the right positions. And I can listen back and forth between the streamers to hear, can I tell a difference? What's going on? And the SOTM is a very highly regarded streamer. And the Bacch for Mac is, the Mac Mini is not considered worthwhile consideration at all, right? So I'm definitely biased against the Mac Mini. But listening back and forth with everything set correctly, to be honest, I heard nothing negative coming from that Mac Mini. Did I hear it sound better than my own streamer? No. Did I hear my own streamer better than the Mac Mini? No. In fact, I found them to be extremely close, splitting hairs. Is there a difference? Maybe there is between them, but not enough of a difference to say which one is better, which one is worse. Now, I'll say this. My streamer is at a disadvantage because there's a much longer signal chain. First off, it is being converted to optical. And then it's going optical into the Babyface Pro. Then it's going USB out of the Babyface Pro into the Mac Mini, where the Mac Mini is just straight from itself to the DAC. So the signal chain is definitely longer for my own streamer. And so I'm thinking, okay, well, how can I make a better comparison? So what I did, I went right here. We have a selection on Bacch for Mac. You can do bypass. Boom, right there. You're bypassing all the internal software all the Bacch software. And basically, it's just a through signal, in and out. And so I took that signal directly from the Macmini, USB out. It's going directly into the DAC. Then I took the optical out from the converter, going directly to the DAC. So I was able to switch back and forth between the optical input and the USB input, bypassing that extra length, that extra chain, other than the converter, which I previously have found not to be an influence at all. And listening that way, did my streamer sound a little bit better than the Macmini? I don't know. Maybe a little bit more. But again, it's like splitting hairs. And I enjoyed both. I could not, if I didn't know which one was playing, I would not be able to tell which one was playing. And also trying to match levels between the two different inputs, being one was coming from the Macmini, one direct from, the streamers. There were differences in points of dB. And trying to match that, and sometimes you hear one a little bit louder and thinking, oh, there's more detail. And so I guess the end result, what I'm trying to say is this Macmini as a streamer, it's outstanding. I have no issues with it whatsoever. And but you know what? I'm keeping both. Why? Because I can. And I can switch back and forth, and I can continue to play with them and see what I think. But as of right now, I'm all set. Everything is all go and thumbs up.